everybody is worried about what to eat, what not to eat, how much you eat, what portion, and. Today's session is about technology and nutrition. And we make no mistake, technology has a lot to do with nutrition, and nutrition has a lot to do with technology as well, because technologists cannot work without food. So without much ado, I would love to present my friend, Dr. Gene Painter, who is the former chair of the Family and Consumer Sciences Department here at Eastern Illinois University, and his student, Alex Curtis, which he writes on websites and have vision for nutrition and so forth. So before I introduce them, I just want to say that this is part of a revolution. Revolutions, actually, not one, but many revolutions in science and technology paradigms. When we had portion size just 20 years ago, different than today. Different components, different. I wouldn't steal the thunder of the competition, but revolutions and paradigms are all around us, and the world as we know it is changing every day with technology. This is part of the first Eastern Illinois University Science and Technology Symposium, and Dr. Stephen Daniels and myself, Dr. Stephen Daniels, the chair of the physics department, who is part of this symposium, wish that this would be the last, only the first. Without much ado, I know you're hungry, and know about your nutrition. Here is my friend, Steve, joining with me, Jim and Alex.
Thank you very much. So Alex, you're going to sit down, and I'll get going, and we'll go through this. So food technology, is it Shelby? Yes. Okay, that's what I thought. Okay, because you're very important, so I don't want to forget your name. So food technology and portion size, this is just looking at childhood obesity. It's gone up double, triple, almost quadrupled in just the last 20, 30 years. And we're not the fattest people in the world. There are people, American Samoa, 66% obese. They're really, really obese. And this is women, this is men. And if you look at this, look at over here. We've got Italy is at 9.5%. How does Italy? Hi, how are you? Good to see your smiling face. Thanks for coming. So Italy at 9.5%. How does Italy stay so skinny when they eat so well? How does? Ben?
All the cooks moved to the U.S.
All the cooks moved to the U.S. That's very good. Good point. That might be it. I don't think so. But what else? Why else? Shelby?
Why is Italy so...
Yeah, how can they stay so thin and eat so well?
The Mediterranean diet, maybe?
Mediterranean diet might be it. So, who's to blame for this thing? A lot of people say it's the industry giving us these big portions. I think it's more of an individual choice. We're making very poor choices. And the industry's actually tried. McDonald's has come up with this new oatmeal. Have you tried the oatmeal?
I have not.
Have you? I think it's great. It's actually a destination food of mine. I go to McDonald's just to eat the stinking oatmeal because it's good, and it's good for me too. So the industry is trying to give some healthy options. Panera has their half portions and baked chips. And then Wendy's has some sides that are actually pretty healthy, a little salad and some fruit. And even Subway has come up with a breakfast item that is actually fairly good for you. Same thing with Dunkin' Donuts, an egg white turkey sausage wake up, whatever it is. So the industry is actually trying to do what's right. So why is it then that people are gaining weight? What's the cause of it?
Sedentary lifestyle.
Sedentary lifestyle?
Portion control.
Portion control?
Fast food on every corner.
Fast food on every corner. Food is everywhere. What else?
Lack of convenience, like time crunching.
Time crunching. Yeah.
The what you're putting into your body, like people are eating more fatty foods, which causes them to become
More fatty foods. That's probably it too. So you said, this is what you said. You mentioned these things: lack of exercise, sedentary lifestyle, stress and pressure, advertising, genetics. Now, all these things have to do with gaining weight. But my question is, which one of these things changed in the last 20 years with a huge increase in obesity? Each one of these things has changed very little in 20 years. They've changed a lot over time, but not a lot recently. Deep emotional needs, Dr. Phil. Do we eat when we're excited? Yeah. Do you eat when you get sad? Okay. So we eat with our emotions. But the thing is have our emotions changed that much? I don't think so. And so today, this is the premise for what we're going to talk about today. We lose track of how much we eat, and we eat more. And so my example of losing track of something, we think we understand what to eat, but we don't. And here's a little example of thinking something is true and it isn't. There's a little girl praying, God bless Mommy, Daddy, Grandma, and Grandpa. And one day she's praying, God bless Mommy, Daddy, and Grandma, goodbye, Grandpa. And he said, why'd you say it, honey? She said, I don't know. Next day, Grandpa dies. She's praying along a few days later, God bless Mommy and Daddy, goodbye, Grandma. He said, why'd you say that? She said, I don't know. The next day, Grandma dies. He thinks this little girl has a connection with the divine. A few days later, she's praying, God bless Mommy, goodbye, Daddy. He panics. He doesn't go out for lunch, doesn't go out for dinner. Midnight comes, he's alive. He goes home and says, dear, you have no idea how bad my day was. She said, you had a bad day. The mailman died on the porch this morning. He thought he was her father, but he wasn't. The mailman was. Okay. And so my point there is that we think we know what we're doing with portions, but we don't. And hopefully in the next 10, 20 minutes, I'll convince you that we're being fooled by portion size. Number one, portions have gotten bigger. And so the original Hershey bar was about this big. It was about 0.6 ounces. And so now they're up to 1/2 pound. You can get half-pound chocolate bars. And the same thing with burgers and fries. Everything is bigger, and we lose track of how much we eat. So the original bagel was about 140 calories. Now it's 350. And people talk a lot and say to me, what'd you have for breakfast? And they'll say, I had a bagel. Good. And we think we're doing good because all we have is a bagel. But it's 350 calories. How many calories in a slice of bread?
Like 100. Depends what kind.
Yeah. And it's probably even less than 100. So if you say it's a little less than 100, how many? Yeah, you can get so maybe 70, 80 calories as an average. How many slices of bread is that?
Like 5.
Like 5?
No, it's 6.
Could be 6.
My uncle used to eat like a dozen at a time.
So the point is this. That's a good point. So your uncle would eat 6 slices of bread. Most people would say that's excessive. You know, if
6 times 6.
Really? Oh, jeez. I've eaten a whole loaf, but I was younger. So you eat a bagel, and people think we're doing good because all we have is a bagel. But if you looked at that in slices of bread, and someone says, I have 5 slices of bread, you would catch the idea that you're overeating. But if you have 1 bagel, you don't catch the idea. And so we're being fooled by portion size. They're bigger. We don't get it. Same thing with the burger. There was the burger about 300 calories. Now they're about 600. We're getting fooled by the size of a burger. 1 burger. What are you choking on there?
See a 600 calorie burger.
You think it's too small?
It's usually like 1,000.
Right. So you're absolutely right. And so here is the Monster Burger. It's 1,420 calories. And so the Monster Burger, then, we get fooled by that too. And so you eat this Monster Burger, and you have with it fries. Do you think you have a small fry with that Monster Burger? No, you have the large one. And so that's 2,000 calories. If you have a large shake, how many calories in the largest shake out there?
Like 2,400. Yeah, 2,400.
It could be. I don't understand what could that. Over 1,000. It's over 1,000 calories. So that's a 3,000 calorie meal. And so here's the being fooled by portion again. You eat this huge burger and these fries, and about 6 hours later you get hungry again, and you remember you had that big burger, 3,000 calories. And you go, I think I'll skip dessert. But you need to skip dessert, you need to skip dinner, you need to skip breakfast, you need to skip lunch. You need to skip, you have to skip for quite a while, a week maybe, to make up for that. So the point is that we're losing track of how much we eat and we overeat. Even when we have these huge portions, we think we make up for it, but we don't.
How many calories you need per day, just to have a concept of how many?
So how many calories you need per day for kind of normal Americans might be 2,500. And so this is 3,000 calories in 1 meal. So you get more than you need in 1 meal for your entire day.
If you eat 1 meal per day and that's it, and if you don't feel hungry, is this good for your body or do you eat more?
Well, I don't know, but most people, you can't do that because you eat 1 meal and then you get hungry again. So you have this huge burger, and by dinner you don't say, I'm going to skip dinner. You eat dinner. So we get fooled by portion. And it's not just fast food, but it's regular restaurants too. Used to be about 500 calories, now they're about 1,000. So they're twice as big. And we're actually doing a study. We just did it a couple of weeks ago. We did a little study where we had to-go plates. And so we gave people a big spaghetti dinner and gave them a to-go plate afterwards and said, eat what you want and then put away the rest. They put away about 2 ounces. And then we had them take the to-go plate before they got started and said, put away what you want. They put away about 10 ounces and then didn't go back to it. And so the difference between what they put away at the end and what they put away at the beginning was about 8 ounces difference, almost another meal. And so this idea of having these huge portions that the industry keeps giving us One answer might be is putting things away ahead of time.
Have you ever heard of the bottomless chili experiment?
No.
Where-
The bottomless chili experiment.
Bottomless chili. So there's two groups. The control is someone who just gets a regular bowl of chili and they eat it. Most people will finish it and they're fine. But the other people, their variable in the experiment is what they do is there's like a tube feeding chili.
Oh, that's my experiment. I'll give it to you in a minute. So I did that about 5 years ago, and so we have this never-ending bowl of soup that we did. So yeah, I'll give that. It's very good. That's nice you brought that up.
I read about that a while ago.
We did it about 6 years ago, probably. So it's been a while. It might be a little longer than that, actually.
Sure.
And so value marketing, you get a little bit of extra something for a little bit more money, but is it really a value to get something you did not need in the first place? And this is what we get. This is we get a value meal, you get 600 calories. How many people need an extra 600 calories? And so is it a value to get something you did not need in the first place? My answer is no.
What you translate these calories to fat or weight or something because tangible. If you get more 1,000 calories, how do you?
There's about 3,600 calories in a pound. When if you
add to your weight.
Yeah.
How much?
So if you added a burger and you took an extra 600 calories, that would be, like a fifth of a pound you would gain if you didn't compensate for it. Yes.
Like, how about exercise? Like, how many calories do you burn running a mile?
See, it really depends. It depends how big you are. If
Male or female?
it depends if you're male or female. And so if you're a small woman and you run for an hour, you can burn a few hundred calories. If you're a huge guy, you can burn 1,000 calories. By just working out hard for an hour, you can just burn it up. Depends how big you are.
So I'll go run on the treadmill and stuff, and like they're telling me I'm burning like only 100 calories.
Right.
There is no way. I've been sweating for like 10 minutes.
You burn less than you think you do. A lot of people.
I know that. They're trying to tell me I'm burning like 20 calories in 10 minutes, and I'm like.
And did you put your weight in?
No.
Before you started?
They don't
We'll
put your weight
see.
in, but like when you hold the thing, it measures your heartbeat.
Right.
And like my heart rate, like it gets like really high when I'm running.
As it should. It should. I mean, it's fine. Your heart rate will go up.
It's like above athletic.
If it goes above 200, you're probably dead.
I've
So
gone above
don't do that.
200, But
Really?
yeah, like average working out is like 180.
Yeah, 180 is pretty good for you. That's pumping pretty
It's
fast.
athletic conditioning.
Yeah, it is. My heart doesn't go that fast anymore. There was the big gulp, the super gulp, the double gulp. Things are getting bigger. Now we have the extreme gulp. Even at home, not just fast food restaurants, but even at home, things have gotten bigger. You don't know it. And so the thing is, we're being fooled again because it's the same recipe for 60 years, but instead of making 100 cookies now, it only makes 60. Why? Because we demand bigger portions. And so to save your friends and family relationships, you get bigger cookies. And if you don't do that, people get upset.
You can just get smaller ovens.
Smaller mouths. I don't know if ovens will do it. Yes.
These bigger portion sizes that you get at restaurants and other fast foods, it's almost making you, when you go home and you make your meal, you're going to want to like quantify that as well.
I think that's probably true too. So if you're out eating these huge things, when you get home, it tends to make you eat more too. That's a good point.
You stretch out your stomach.
That's true too.
Like with all the gastric bypasses that we have now. When my mom's friend got a gastric bypass, and like she used to eat a lot, and she would have snacks everywhere. But like now she like 3 bites of her steak. And she's like, oh my god, like it's torture. I don't know how people do that.
You're right, and that can be stretched out eventually too. So if you really do overdo it, you can take that little tiny pouch and you can make it back to its normal size after months of shoving stuff in there. So you have to be careful even with the gastric bypass.
Have you ever seen Man vs. Food?
Yes, grosses me out every time I see it.
I like just want to be there with them.
Man, some of the stuff he puts in his mouth, I would never ever put in my
Are you
mouth.
kidding?
Oh no,
It's so,
the little slugs and things.
So
No.
delicious, just in gigantic portions.
Sometimes it looks good.
No, bad. I don't like bizarre foods.
Oh, that's fine. Okay. All right, so we did this little video called Portion Size Me, and we don't have time to really do the video, so we're going to skip that, but I'm going to show you a little bit of a video about the Portion Size Me video. So we put these 2 kids on a fast food diet for 30 days to see if it could be done, and this is what we came up with.
They didn't die.
No, they didn't. They survived.
To put it quite simply, we are a nation of overeaters. But the good news is there's some simple things that all of us can do about it, and early show consumer correspondent Susan Cookman has details. Good morning, Susan.
Good morning, Hannah. Believe it or not, you can eat fast food, chocolate, candy, and cookies and still shed pounds. You are about to meet a professor who says it all comes down to something very simple: portion control. Pizza, burgers, fries. We think they're the enemy in the battle of the bulge, but maybe not.
Yeah, you can eat all those things and lose weight.
Nutrition expert Jim Painter says it's not so much what you eat, but how much you eat. He proves it in his documentary, Portion Size.
I want you to watch Aaron put this piece of pizza in his mouth. He would eat 6,000, 5,000 calories a day. He's a machine. Watch this. It's Pizza Hut.
Students on a 30-day fast food diet.
He would eat huge portions.
The blood cholesterol levels dropped, the blood lipids stayed normal, the liver enzymes stayed normal. Everything was fine if they ate the right portion.
And this was eating fast food every day.
Breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and they ended up losing weight.
But getting the right portion size is getting harder. Painter showed us how portions have ballooned. This is a Caesar salad from 20 years ago versus today. Double the portion, double the calories.
And same with the pasta and the meatballs.
Same with pasta and meatballs. Now, if you just say, give me the regular serving, it's going to be almost twice as much.
And just look at a regular burger and fries from the 50s compared to now.
But don't you think people want this? They don't want that.
They really do. And so one of the problems is that we have this idea that more is better. And if you look at people's waistlines, they are more now. And it's not better.
But is it possible to eat smaller portions and still be satisfied? Painters.
So what we're after here so far is that we're being fooled by portion. You think that's true, Ben? You think we're being fooled by portion? You think you catch it? How much?
We're just not exercising. And we're just eating really like bad food.
That's true too. We do not exercise. We do eat bad food. You don't think we're eating too much food?
I think you eat until you're full, and then you stop. That's how I've always.
Well, you have done well just by looking at you. The rest of the country has not. We're not doing as well as you. So are you convinced at all that portions are bigger and we lose track of things because portions are bigger? Do you think that's true? What we're going to talk about now are 5 things you can do to help track how much you eat so that you can actually eat less. This is the first little study. I'm going to show it right now instead of later. First point.
He helped us set up an experiment. We invited this group of people to take part in an all-you-can-eat ice cream taste test.
Take as much as you want. If you want to come back for seconds, you can come back for seconds.
We started by splitting them into 2 separate groups. Group A was given a big scoop, big bowls, and big spoons. Group B was given a scoop, bowls, and spoons about half the size. As a result, Group A took huge portions and piled on the toppings. Once we weighed each bowl, they chowed down. Everyone in this group ate quickly. Most even came back for seconds. But watch what happened when we brought in Group B, the ones with the smaller bowls. They filled their dishes, but with smaller spoons, it took them more time to get to the bottom, and most quit after only one.
Does that guy look familiar? Have you seen The Blind Side? Michael Moore. So we were in downtown New York City.
Wait, that's not actually him.
I think it's him. It was 2006. I got a bunch of acting students from New York City to come over and sit there. And I'm pretty sure that's him. I've never bumped into him again to find out if it is, but I think it is. Now, you must feel sorry for this guy. Look how he has to hold the spoon. He can't even hold the spoon. It's so tiny. He's holding it like this. Michael finished his bowl of ice cream, his little bowl. And I asked him, I said, "You want more?" And he goes, "No, I'm really fine." I said, "Really?" He goes, "Yeah, I'm really fine." I said, "Are you sure?" And he goes, "Yeah." And then the bowls come out, and he sees that he had a small bowl, and the other people had a big bowl. And he turned to me, and he said, "You cheated me, Dr. Painter." "No, I didn't. You cheated me." I said, "I asked you 3 times. He said, "I want more now." Fine, I gave him more now. Now, why was it he was satisfied with a little bowl until he saw that someone else had a bigger bowl?
I think we make a dish like bigger, like a plate or a bowl is, that we gotta fill it up automatically and just keep eating. Like people overeat. I had this plenty of time. I had the same bowl with cereal. I noticed I eat different when I have a bigger bowl. So like I make sure that it goes all the way to the top.
I think that's right. I agree with that. Yeah.
Just to add to what he's saying, like if I'll make a salad in like a regular bowl, like it'll be a regular salad, I'll make one. I'll maybe refill it if I'm really hungry. But if if I get like the big salad bowl for like giving out to other people, I'll just fill that up by myself and eat it all.
And so you kind of eat what's in front of you.
Yeah.
If you have a big bowl, you eat a bunch. If you have a small bowl, you eat a little. It's kind of what this lady says. Listen to what this young girl says about this.
Does everybody feel like they ate enough ice cream? Yeah. Then we revealed the truth of our experiment and the result. Even though both groups told us they were completely satisfied, Group A, the one with the bigger bowls and spoons, ate twice as much as Group B.
Are you surprised that you guys ate double what they ate?
Absolutely, and I can definitely see how just the size of the bowls did it.
What?
Now this young lady kind of explains what both of you did and why it made such a difference. Listen to what she says.
How do you think your group ate less?
I guess because when you see that your bowl's full and then you eat everything in there, you feel right, you have enough, and that's all you need.
So point number one is be very careful about the size of the bowl that's in front of you, because the bigger the bowl, the more you'll eat. Brian Wansink, one of my good buddies, did this funny experiment that I don't have up here, but he had people go through a line and they filled up their plate and they weighed the plate. And then the wait staff was taking the plate over and said, here's your plate. Phew, I am so sorry, I just snotted all over your plate. Would you like another one? And they goes, yes, please, I'll have another one. So they went back through the line and the bowls were smaller. And so people then filled up their plate and they brought it out and they ate. And afterwards they said, yeah, we noticed that it was a little bit smaller the second time, so we put more in there. And every single time they ended up eating less with a smaller plate, even though they thought they were eating more. So the size of the plate makes a real difference in how much you eat.
Jim Painter says the lesson is simple. Control your weight by controlling your portion size.
What is the appropriate size?
I don't think you need to make a big calculation. And I tell people, listen, I'm really serious about this. Reach down and grab your side. If there's more there between your thumb and your index finger than you want, think small and choose small.
Yes, I have that problem.
Painter do that now so you get pregnant, you're eating for two.
Well, Painter says that choosing small can be as easy as downsizing all your plates, bowls, and glasses. So here's a look at the dinner plate that I normally use at home. It's huge, so I'm downsizing to this plate. Okay, you know, we actually did that in our house. Does it work? Of course it works. Yeah, it looks like it's full. Absolutely. He has some other great tips. He said,
So Susan Copen, I went there about 6 months later, and she had lost 40 pounds. And I said, 40 pounds, that's amazing. She said, well, 20 was the baby. Okay, fine. But the 20 pounds after the baby, I lost because I did these 5 things I'm going to tell you. Point number 1 is that the size and shape of a container makes a difference, and you need to be careful what you're getting. So the size and shape of a container will determine how much you eat. This is just showing that it doesn't matter whether it's spaghetti, Crisco, or M&Ms. If you have a larger container, you're going to pour more out of it. So you make your portion decision when you're at the grocery store buying the container that the food is in. So even that influences how much you're going to eat. And then Brian did this little study with popcorn. He gave them a big container, and they ate 60 grams. He gave them a huge container, and they ate 90 grams. Yeah?
Have you seen Fight Her Engagement?
I don't think so. What is it?
Okay, like she goes to this college.
The donut thing?
Yeah, the donut thing.
You've seen it.
Yeah, so basically it's just she becomes a psychology major and she finally gets into a master's program or whatever. But the whole thing with like all they do is just psychological experiments on like the town, like people from the town.
Yeah.
And they like it's basically the same stuff as this. Not all food related, but like they did one thing where they put a like old tray of donuts in there and had someone wait, and they would say, we're going to be back in 5 minutes or 10 minutes with a new tray of donuts. And like it just depended on the person and who would take the old donut and who would take the new wait for the new donut.
Well, that's kind of like what this is right here. So the old donut, new donut thing, here is old popcorn. He gave people old popcorn and they ate about 50% less. But you gave them twice as much old nasty popcorn and people ate twice as much. Even though it was stuff that they didn't want to eat, if they had a bigger container, they ended up eating more popcorn. And so size, which line is the biggest one? Well, they're the same size, but we perceive this more than this. And so when Brian gave these tall glasses and short glasses, he told kids to pour in 8 ounces worth of juice. And so when you had the tall glass, they ended up filling up, and they stopped pouring at about 5 ounces, thinking they'd poured almost 8. When they had the short fat glass, they kept pouring, 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 and they ended up pouring almost 10 ounces, thinking that they poured 8. So not only size, but even the shape of a container fools us. Circumference gets them? I don't know. So here's just looking at bartenders. Less experience in the red, more experience in the gray. If you gave them a tall tumbler, they poured it about right. You gave them a short, fat tumbler, and they overpoured every time because they didn't perceive they had as much in there, and so they overpoured with the shorter, fatter tumblers. Number 3 is visibility and convenience. Yeah.
I don't know what kind of word that they should use, but I've used just is there any part of this psychological in the greed part of it? Because I want to get the worth of my money from the company, or feel that I got big
right.
or something.
So is greed part of it? I think it is. And the whole idea of value marketing, we want our money's worth every time we buy stuff. And so you can call that greed, but we want the value for our money. And so that's one reason the big portions work. It was a decision that was made at McDonald's back in the early 1950s. They said, if I want a dress, and you buy a dress, and you show someone a prettier dress on the way out, they'll buy 2 dresses. But if you give someone a big meal, and on the way out you say, here's more food, they'll go on full. And so you have to give them more food in the beginning to give them, to get more money from them. And so, yeah, the whole greed factor, I think, is really part of it.
Buffet lines too.
Right.
You could go to a buffet and have an average size meal, but then you feel like, oh, well, I can't get that.
I know. And I do that too. Everybody does that. We want to get our money's worth.
When you go to Walmart and you go to check out and you're just waiting, like all the stuff there is just, oh, I'll buy some gum.
Right. It's all impulse things that are right there by the counter. So that whole idea of impulse buying, when you see it, you'll eat it. How much more food you eat when you see it compared to when you can't see it. We did this little study with Candy Kisses for 3 weeks. We put Candy Kisses on the desk. People ate 9. We moved it from on the desk to in the desk right here, and people ate 30% less. We made it hard to get to. They had to stand up and get it, and they ate 60% less. So if you see it, you will eat it. And then this is the estimation. People kind of guesstimated right along the lines of what actually happened. And then so we did the same thing with healthy foods. We moved them from in the desk drawer to the top. We did it with grapes, did it with chocolate, did it with carrots, did it with pretzels. And every single time, when you made them visible, people ate more. How come they ate so many more carrots?
Who doesn't love carrots?
Yeah?
No, also,
I don't know. Well, this is what I think. How many of you at 4 o'clock in the afternoon say, man, I've been craving a carrot all day? Well, besides you. No one else has ever raised their hand.
Craving, it's just like, I mean, I'll eat a carrot. Like, it's good for you. It's a good snack.
We did the same thing with raisins. We put 5 boxes in the drawer, 5 boxes on the desk. If you want people to eat more food, make it visible, and they ate more raisins. If you put more raisins out there, they ate even more. So visibility makes people eat more. And then labeling foods. Do you want to talk about this one? No? Oh, that's fine. And so we had food where it was red beans and rice, and then traditional Cajun red beans and rice. Same food. We just called it something different. And this is what happened. When we had the fancy name, people thought it tasted much better. And this is the same group of people, same customers, same cooks, same students preparing it, same students serving it. The only thing different is the tag on the food. And you said, this is red beans. This is traditional Cajun red beans and rice. Oh, it's so much better. And then not only did it taste better, but the texture was better, and people thought it had more calories. It made more of a difference with main dishes than desserts, because if it's chocolate, it's chocolate. But when we had fish with no label, people went, oh, this is nasty fish, I hate it. And then we had succulent Italian seafood fillet. People would say, succulent? Why didn't you tell me? I love succulent. And Italian's my favorite food. This succulent Italian seafood fillet is delicious compared to that nasty fish we had last week. And it's the exact same fish. And so we are swayed very easily by what something is called. And then number 5, here gets to what you were talking about earlier. This is the ice cream study we did with big bowls and small bowls. It's just the original study before we did it on TV. And then we did this soup bowl study. This is what you were talking about. So we set up a table. This table is about like this. We had 4 bowls of soup on the table. We had a big pot. You could take more from the pot if you wanted to. Nobody ever did. We recorded what people ate. And when we were done, we lifted up the skirt of the table and we showed them that these 2 bowls were being fed with a tube under the table. So when they ate, it filled back up, and they ate it, filled back up. So one of the guys in the study, some kid sat down, he ate so fast, he got all the way down to the bottom of the bowl. And he could see where it was filling. He kept moving his spoon back and forth. Well, he did. He kept eating and eating and eating. He got so excited because he could see something moving. He jumped up from his table. He came over, he grabbed my arm. He said, Dr. Painter, what? He said, there's something moving in my bowl. He grabs my arm. He pulls me back to the table. By the time I got back, it had filled back up. And I said, just eat what you want. He got done eating. He had eaten 4 bowls of soup. So when he got done, I lifted up the skirt of the table. Can you imagine his surprise that when I showed it to him that he had eaten 4 bowls of soup and it kept filling, he had to eat the entire pot to be able to finish. And so what this shows you is when they lost the picture of the bottom of the bowl, people ate almost twice as much. We trust in visual cues to tell us how much to eat. We trust in the thing we're eating. If you take that picture away from us and we think we have it, you have no way of deciding how much you eat. And then this is someone across from you is eating 4 bowls of soup. You're having 1 bowl of soup. How much do you all have? About the same. If you lose that thing that tells you how much you're eating, you are lost. Cup size study. We did this study. You want to talk about this? So this is a cup study that Alex did. It's not published yet. We're hopefully going to publish this sometime really soon. So.
We did this to look at the New York initiative where they're trying to decrease the cup sizes that you're allowed to buy in New York City. And so I worked with a group of men, and one day I gave them a 16-ounce cup with lemonade in it, and they're allowed to refill it as much as they wanted. And then the next week I came back and gave them a 32-ounce cup. They're allowed to refill it as much as they wanted. And so those with the 32-ounce cup drank almost twice as much lemonade as they did with the 16-ounce cup.
So I was in New York City a couple of months ago, and the mayor of New York City has this ban that was struck down. And so right now it's not even in effect, but they're in a lawsuit. And I said, you know, you used my soup study as one of the reasons why you did this. Would you like some more data? And they said yes. So Alex and some of the other students are doing some research that we're going to send to the health department of New York City. We sat down with Maura Kenny, who is the head of the health department communicable disease section in New York City, and we're going to give them her data when we get the other studies finished. So what's the solution to this? I think the solution is self-monitoring. This is an interesting study that just shows quartiles of consistency. These people didn't write it down, wrote it down better, wrote it down better, wrote it down best. And so when you write down what you eat less. And so what this shows is the non-holiday week, you wrote it down poorly, you gained weight. You wrote it down a little bit, you lost weight, better. And if you wrote it down really well, you lost a lot of weight. This white is holidays then. You wrote it down during a holiday and you gained weight. Wrote it down better, you still gained weight. Wrote it down better, you still gained weight. If you wrote everything down on a piece of paper and put it in your pocket before you ate it and you tracked it closely, people lost weight even during a holiday if they kept track of what they eat. It's back to my point. We lose track of how much we're eating and we tend to eat more. And so I didn't believe this because I really don't believe anything until I see it more than once. And so I looked, and there's lots of studies out there. Here's another study. This is the control group, and they said, we're watching you, and they started losing weight. And then they forgot people were watching them, and they started gaining weight. And then the holiday came, and they pigged out, and they gained a lot of weight. The holiday ended, they kept pigging out until what point? When do you stop eating after a holiday? When your pants, huh?
Leftovers are gone.
When the leftovers are gone, or when your pants don't fit. And so these people had gained 2 pounds and went, oh my goodness, I'm a pig, look at this, look how much I've eaten, I better stop. And so you stop eating, but you've already gained 2 pounds. And then here is the experimental group. They started writing things down, they lost weight. Holiday came, they still lost weight, but not as much. Holiday ended, they still lost weight. And then they quit writing things down and it leveled off. So if you keep track of what you eat, you will eat less, is the goal here.
How long would it take to see the effect? Meaning, if you're eating Big Mac now or whatever burger, and you add it to half a pound, after a week or 2 weeks?
You know, really, the guy in Super Size Me, who just supersized every day, he ended up gaining 24 pounds in 30 days. He gained almost a pound a day. That's eating an extra probably 2,500 to 3,000 calories every day. That's extra. And so can you gain weight fast? Yes.
So I'm confused on which side you're on. Are you on, you're saying you're on self-monitoring, right? But you would like to have government regulation, or it's not that you don't want to have it, but you're trying to support the initiative for government regulations of cup sizes.
Exactly.
So, where?
So I think that's actually a very good question, because that's the huge battle out there. You know, should we have government control what people can do, or is it up to people to do what they do? I think it's both. But I fall on the side of personal responsibility, because you never can get everything perfect, and we must have self-control and personal responsibility.
But where do they meet in the middle? When does it become our personal responsibility to worry about the rest of the world? Or is that even a thing?
I don't know. So when is it our? I don't think that's.
No, not. I mean, okay.
Yeah. When is it our personal responsibility to feed or to change the world? It isn't. I don't see that.
But there is the interdependence. Like, we can't, as a nation, like, we can't, like, do well if half of the country can't even get off of the couch.
So which side are you on? I can't tell from what you said either. So I'm not either.
I'm on self-monitor. I don't think there should be anything.
But you just said if half the country can't stand up, then isn't it our responsibility to help that half to stand up?
That's not my
They're going to die on the couch. You may be right. And so I think we're probably actually very close in this, because I do think it's personal responsibility, because you never can get it exactly right. But then on the other hand, there's things like trans fats. You don't know what's in it or not. So if the government can say no trans fat, then I'm eating out. I don't know what's in there. I'm being healthier because of what the government said to do. But I do think we can overregulate.
But I mean, I'm all for natural selection. Like,
You're all for natural selection. If people want to eat themselves to death, you're all for it. Is that what you're saying? Very good point, I guess.
But talking about government, the government sometimes don't force the genetically modified food companies to write that. And also, if somebody dies from this or get any disease, they give kind of waiver of any lawsuits or responsibility.
Well, they just settle outside of court.
Yeah, I mean, there's no law. I mean, the government wouldn't say to the genetically modified companies to force them to tell people, here is this. And if somebody gets sick because of eating this, they are not liable. So they got free both ways. So the government comes late and saying, you eat this and don't eat this, but they don't do that. So there should be an overall governmental rule in everything or none. I mean, just to be fair.
So just anarchy or communism?
No, I'm not. I'm saying if you are going to regulate something, regulate everything.
Okay.
If you are not going to regulate anything, just get out of it. So how would you balance this?
Yeah, so I kind of agree with that, things are being regulated in piecemeal, and maybe we're not hitting the right ones to regulate. If we're going to regulate, regulate. If we're not, don't regulate. Is that what you're saying?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
That sounds right.
It's more of the main factor of, like, when it comes to nutrition and dieting, you don't want to label things as bad foods, because then people are going to, like, want to stay away from them as far as possible. And then when you actually want to partake in something good, you're going to overindulge in it. So almost getting it so you can get the best of both worlds, but doing it in a moderate portion.
I agree with that completely. So the idea that there's good and bad things, there's things that are better for us. Can you have a little bit of something and be perfectly healthy? Yes. People that are vegetarian, can they eat a little bit of meat and be yes, perfectly healthy? You know, can you eat a snack or a treat once in a while and be perfectly healthy? Yes. But what happens is that we fool ourselves. You know, there's this guy, he was over 1,000 pounds. He couldn't even get out of bed. And he's eating chips, and he says, it's okay to eat chips as long as you know when to stop. It almost made me want to cry, because here this guy had fooled himself so much that he was saying something that was true, but he wasn't practicing it at all, and he couldn't even get out of bed, and he weighed 1,000 pounds. So I think I agree with all the statements that you've made pretty much. It is a balance on regulation, and this whole idea of 32-ounce cups compared to 16-ounce cups, if we have a maximum of 16, what we've shown is that people just drink less, which is a good thing. If you want 2, you can buy 2. And people say it's against my civil rights. No, you have a civil right to buy 2 if you want. Yes?
But, like, then it just goes back to everyone's buying 32 ounces of soda when we should be drinking water.
I don't disagree with that either. Instead of buying soda, drink water. So I think that's true. And so that's a very good little discussion we've had here. This is kind of what we talked about today. Self-monitoring, selecting portion sizes is important for us. Visibility, it's important. What we see, we're going to eat. And if we don't want to eat it, if we don't want to stay out of sight, keep it packed away and you'll eat less of it. If it's more inconvenient, you'll eat less. One of the reasons we eat so much right now is food is so convenient. Someone said that in the beginning, that food is everywhere. And so it's hard to bypass the stuff. And then food labels influence us more than we know. There's more influence on what we say about food than what we might be aware of. And even changing the name of something from fish to succulent Italian seafood fillet makes people like it a lot more. And then visual cues to satiation. This could be the most important thing. We trust in little visual cues. If you have a candy bar that's this big, this big, this big, or this big, you eat the whole candy bar, and when you're done, you're done. What told you you were done? It was gone, the size of the candy bar. And so making those decisions ahead of time, choosing the right size, can determine how much you're going to eat. And so visual cues tell us a lot. I think all these things, if we think about them, technology has made food available all the time, and it has made it so easy to get and so easy to consume, we're over-consuming. And so how are we going to help ourselves to eat less? I think these are the kind of things that we can do to help ourselves eat less. Any other questions?
May I go back to the portion size?
Maybe.
If a pound of meat, certain meat was, just say it is $10 a pound.
$10 a pound, yeah.
And if you go and they serve you 1 pound for $10 again or something. But if you take 2 pounds, it will be 15.
Right.
Now, anything that you buy in a mass
right.
is cheaper.
Right.
So why should a person would just throw their money, $10 for just because of portion? Why don't they get the big one and then take it to the bag or something with them just to get the worst of the
So what were we going to say?
I mean, that's exactly what you were saying, wasn't it?
Right.
Like, when you go, well, okay, what he's saying is, like, if you go to a restaurant and you get all of it, you're more likely to not take a doggy bag just because it's one portion. But if you go to the grocery store and buy, like, 6 servings of steak, you're only going to eat 1. Whereas you would eat everything that's put in front of you at a restaurant.
And so my balance is this. It depends how much money you have. If you have more money than time, then buy the little portions that are pre-packed. And that's what you need. If you don't have money, but you have time, then buy the big things and take them home and throw them into little containers and take a big bag of chips, throw it into 12 containers, zip it up so that you've got to open up every single container every time you want one. Yes?
It's kind of contradictory working. I work at Cracker Barrel, and also I was a nutrition student, but for the big meals, they have fancy fixings, and then there's actual dinner sizes, and then I even go down to smaller portions.
Right.
But for the bigger ones, you get 3 sides plus an overwhelming portion of like a meat choice.
That's right.
And normally, almost all the customers will eat it all, or if they don't, and it's normally enough for about 3 meals.
Chicken fillet, 2 sides of potato casserole, and 1 side of dumplings.
There you go.
And so that's our point. If we can actually show businesses that if they give the to-go box ahead of time, that people will put away 2 meals. So the person gets 2 meals for the price of 1. The company still gets to serve the huge portion and make their profit. The company wins, the individual wins. And so I gave a talk at Restaurant Leadership. It was the CEOs of all the food companies, McDonald's, Burger King, Wendy's. They all came up to me afterwards, 600 people representing 300,000 restaurants. And so I asked these guys, what can we do to help? And their big thing is, show me how I can make money and I'll listen to you. Because their big thing is making money. And so I can talk about portion all day long and they go, yeah, it's nice to hear, we like it, but we need to make money. So if this works and I can take this to the industry and show them, hopefully we can change the entire world and change the industry by giving to-go containers before you get started on your meal.
Honestly, I think if like all fast food places just like revamped their menus, like not even like made them healthier, just made them smaller and made them cheaper. Not like, not relatively cheap, or not relatively, what is it? Proportionally cheaper to what like the portion sizes were, but cheaper enough to where like, I mean, it's cheap enough to still be fast food and it's smaller meals.
Right.
And like we don't have that at all.
Right.
Unless you get like, even when you get salads, like the salads at fast food are extremely terrible for you.
I agree with most of that. Thank you very much, Wafiq.
Thank you very much.
Thanks. mailman died on the porch this morning. He thought he was her father, but he wasn't. The mailman was. Okay. And so my point there is that we think we know what we're doing with portions, but we don't. And hopefully in the next 10, 20 minutes, I'll convince you that we're being fooled by portion size. Number one, portions have gotten bigger. And so the original Hershey bar was about this big. It was about 0.6 ounces. And so now they're up to 1/2 pound. You can get 1/2 pound chocolate bars. And the same thing with burgers and fries. Everything is bigger, and we lose track of how much we eat. So the original bagel was about 140 calories. Now it's 350. And people talk a lot and say to me, "What'd you have for breakfast?" And they'll say, "I had a bagel." Good. And we think we're doing good because all we had was a bagel. But it's 350 calories. How many calories in a slice of bread?
Like 100. Depends what kind.
Yeah. And it's probably even less than 100. So if you say it's a little less than 100, how many? Yeah, you can get so maybe 70, 80 calories as an average. How many slices of bread is that?
Like 5.
Like 5?
No, it's 6.
Could be 6.
My uncle used to eat like a dozen at a time.
So the point is this. That's a good point. So your uncle would eat 6 slices of bread. Most people say that's excessive. You know, if
6 times 6.
Really? Oh, jeez. I've eaten a whole loaf, but I was younger. So you eat a bagel, and people think we're doing good.
Size just 20 years ago, different than today. Different components, different. I wouldn't see the standard of competition, but evolution and paradigms are all around us, and the world as we know it is changing every day with technology. This is part of the first Eastern Illinois University Science and Technology Symposium, and Dr. Stephen Daniels and myself, Dr. Stephen Daniels, the chair of the physical department, who is part of this symposium, wish that this would be the last, only the first. Without much ado, I'm moving on hungry, and know how to nutrition. Here is my friend Jim, and he's joining with me, welcome Jim and Alex.
Thank you very much. So Alex, you're going to sit down, and I'll get going, and we'll go through this. So food technology, is it Shelby?
Yes.
Okay, that's what I thought. Okay, because you're very important, so I don't want to forget your name. So food technology and portion size, this is just looking at childhood obesity. It's gone up double, triple, almost quadrupled in just the last 20, 30 years. And we're not the fattest people in the world. There are people, American Samoa, 66% obese. They're really, really obese. And this is women, this is men. And if you look at this, look at over here. We've got Italy is at 9.5%. How does Italy? Hi, how are you? Good to see your smiling face. Thanks for coming. So Italy at 9.5%. How does Italy stay so skinny when they eat so well? How does? Ben?
All the cooks moved to the U.S.
All the cooks moved to the U.S. That's very good. Good point. That might be it. I don't think so. But what else? Why else? Shelby?
Why is Italy so...
Yeah, how can they stay so thin and eat so well?
The Mediterranean diet, maybe?
Mediterranean diet might be it. So, who's to blame for this thing? A lot of people say it's the industry giving us these big portions. I think it's more of an individual choice. We're making very poor choices. And the industry's actually tried. McDonald's has come up with this new oatmeal. Have you tried the oatmeal?
I have not.
Have you? I think it's great. It's actually a destination food of mine. I go to McDonald's just to eat the stinking oatmeal because it's good, and it's good for me too. So the industry is trying to give some healthy options. Panera has their half portions and baked chips. And then Wendy's has some sides that are actually pretty healthy, a little salad and some fruit. And even Subway has come up with a breakfast item that is actually fairly good for you. Same thing with Dunkin' Donuts, an egg white turkey sausage wake up, whatever it is. So the industry is actually trying to do what's right. So why is it then that people are gaining weight? What's the cause of it?
Sedentary lifestyle.
Sedentary lifestyle? Portion control?
Fast food on every corner.
Fast food on every corner. Food is everywhere. What else?
Lack of convenience, like time crunching.
Time crunching. Yeah.
Nutrition. You look at any TV program everybody is worried about what to eat, what not to eat, how much you eat, what portion, and. Today's session is about technology and nutrition. And we make no mistake, technology has a lot to do with nutrition, and nutrition has a lot to do with technology as well, because technologists cannot work without food. So without much ado, I would like to present my friend, Dr. Jean Painter, who is the former chair of the Family and Consumer Sciences Department here at Eastern Illinois University, and his student, Alex Curtis, which she writes on websites and have vision for nutrition and so forth. So before I introduce them, I just want to say that this is part of a revolution. Revolutions, actually, not one, but many revolutions in science and technology paradigms. When we had
what you're putting into your body, like people are eating more fatty foods, which causes them to become
more fatty foods, that's probably it too. So you said, this is what you said. You mentioned these things: lack of exercise, sedentary lifestyle, stress and pressure, advertising, genetics. Now all these things have to do with gaining weight. But my question is, which one of these things changed in the last 20 years with a huge increase in obesity? Each one of these things has changed very little in 20 years. They've changed a lot over time, but not a lot recently. Deep emotional needs, Dr. Phil. Do we eat when we're excited? Yeah. Do you eat when you get sad? Okay. So we eat with our emotions. But the thing is have our emotions changed that much? I don't think so. And so today, this is the premise for what we're going to talk about today. We lose track of how much we eat, and we eat more. And so my example of losing track of something, we think we understand what to eat, but we don't. And here's a little example of thinking something is true and it isn't. There's a little girl praying, God bless Mommy, Daddy, Grandma, and Grandpa. And one day she's praying, God bless Mommy, Daddy, and Grandma, goodbye, Grandpa. And he said, why'd you say it, honey? She said, I don't know. Next day, Grandpa dies. She's praying along a few days later, God bless Mommy and Daddy, goodbye, Grandma. He said, why'd you say that? She said, I don't know. The next day, Grandma dies. He thinks this little girl has a connection with the divine. A few days later, she's praying, God bless Mommy, goodbye, Daddy. He panics. He doesn't go out for lunch, doesn't go out for dinner. Midnight comes, he's alive. He goes home and says, dear, you have no idea how bad my day was. She said, you